Do you, on the come up, do you ever experience like great fear or shivering where you feel like the mushrooms are shaking emotions out of your cells or something like that?
Um, I used to get the shakes and things. I don't know whether that was emotions or just a part of the actual releasing of the psilocybin from the serotonin receptor sites. Um, I mean, but I've had those in the past, shivering and things like that, and a feeling of being cold as
Hmm.
another. But as far as uh, that happening now, no, no. I've been doing mushrooms for decades,
Right,
and
right.
I know my body knows what it is. My body, okay, well, here we go. We're going to do this. My mind and consciousness knows where that this is going to happen. So it's kind of now ingrained. I have my sea legs. I can walk on the ship. I'm not worried about getting seasick. I know how to tie knots. I know how to raise the mask and also take the mask down and things like that. I know and look out over the ocean and find that we're gonna have rough seas tonight. I can tell
Mhm.
when I go in with okay, well this is gonna be one of those kind of nights. Let me hold on. You know.
Right. And why do you, I mean, do you ever have someone watching over you like a trip sitter? Because, I haven't done the types of doses you have, but I mean, it feels just safe, a little better or safer, I guess, with someone just there in case anything happens or if I need to go to the bathroom because sometimes I can't get up. It's like I'm stuck on the ground. I can barely walk, you
You
know?
well, you crawl. You don't have to walk. I've
Right,
crawled
right,
to the
right, right.
bathroom many
Yeah.
times.
Right.
That's a navigational difficulty. Some people have extreme navigational difficulties where they can't make it to the bathroom. But that's not been the case. No, I don't have sitters because you're always stuck with the other person. If you know they're around, you have a crutch, and the uh, the deeper situations don't come when you have another person there because you're always mixed with their trip. You
Right.
know, later on, if I'm doing something, somebody may be in the next bedroom, but they ain't got nothing to do with what I'm doing because most of my trips are alone. The house is alone. And so many times, I've been for millions of years trapped in the house, um, or in my bedroom and things like that. But a sitter is to be there to give you just what you said, confidence in that something won't go wrong. I, at this point, um, look at it as you have to be free of other attachments
Mm.
to be able to go into those difficult places because the places at high dose become difficult and you have
Mm.
to know and understand it. It's not going to be like, oh, yes, I saw fairies or, the beautiful goddess and things like that. There's different levels and different types of um, things out there in the multiverse. And then there are places that are so strange, that are so different, that are so exotic that they have absolutely nothing to do with the universe or the multiverse that we're in. It is just so strange that there are no words to be able to convey what these things are, what these creatures are, what space you're in, because it's not part of this construct. It's outside. It's a standalone system. I know many people say, mostly people on the low doses who have felt a feeling of oneness and with everything that exists. And yes, there is a oneness with everything that exists, but that's only in this neighborhood. There are other neighborhoods that have nothing to do with the oneness that you're feeling or experiencing. They're just out there and they're different and they have absolutely no connection to this over here. And how you make it to those places is a impossible mystery to solve because they're just not part of everything that exists everywhere at all space and time. And then you got this other thing sitting on the side.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I always like talking with people who have done a lot of mushrooms because there's a real understanding that it's not just all, yeah, rainbows and unicorns and laughing. It's like there's some deep, dark, yeah, a lot of dark stuff, in the universe. Like we could never, there's no describing it. When I tell people the things I see, I don't even tell people the things I see because it not very many people would understand. You have
No,
to take a lot of mushrooms basically.
they don't have a reference for it.
Right,
It
right.
was said in Doctor Strange when he was first hit in his forehead by the Ancient One, and he went out, and she said there are universes that are beautiful and all of that, but there are some places out here that are older than time, where
Hmm.
malevolence and horror
Hmm.
exists, and you have to be able to out there be able to stand that, to be able to stand and face it, look it in the eye, and people have no idea what you're talking about
Right,
because even if they get in, it'll be a few years before they start getting to the doses that will be able to do that,
right,
you know.
right.
And then you have
Well,
people who get in and they're at small doses who will tell and try to argue with me that anything over 5 grams is a waste of mushrooms, and that you can't go any higher than when I went in and I saw space aliens, and I went to the moon, and I had this experience where the universe was unfolding to me, and I had the experience. I'm finished. I'm done. I may go back on occasion to see the beauty of it, but no, I'm talking about some stuff that, you know, I mean, it has me vacillating at the refrigerator, like I said.
hmm.
And when
Right.
I get in there, it's like, oh man, this is gonna be a rough one tonight, and
Hmm.
it's still
Yeah.
rough for me. And the thing that I want people to understand, they say, well, Kalindi, he's different, and he's just a, this and that, and martial artist, and all that kind of stuff, and he takes that, and he must have a high tolerance and things like that. No, we have small women that do that do high doses. We have people in their 80s, um, people who aren't warriors uh, doing this. And the thing about it is, when I find these very heavily egocentric, that I'm a badass type person in there, when you give them some, even at small doses, they're the ones who, you know, call you curled in the corner crying, saying, "When is it going to stop? When is it going to stop? It's never ending." I'm in this,
Hmm.
to call me from Slotskia at 3 o'clock in the morning, trying to, I don't know how they found my number or whatever, but they got to call me at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I say, get in the bed, lay down, pull the cover up. It'll be over in a few hours. It's three
Right,
o'clock in the morning in Detroit. Good night.
right.
You know, they go through those type of experiences. Where
Right,
you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe and have confidence in your own power, and that that you're going to make it through whatever's thrown at you. And that's what we're talking about, trying to
right,
share.
right, right. And I know you talk about a type of apprenticeship that the mushroom makes you go through. Can you talk about a little bit about your period of apprenticeship and what you learned and how you were before it and how you grew during your apprenticeship period?
The mushroom is a teacher. You know, um, it's the teacher when dealing with entheogens. The the priesthood is very different with mushrooms. It's kind of like the Sith, the rule of two, you and the mushroom. And there may be a person who helps to guide you into procuring the mushroom and giving it to you. And maybe that's the person who's your sitter for the first 3 times, which is our protocol. But the mushroom is the teacher. When people ask me, well, what do I do this? What do I do with that? How do I approach this and approach that? I say, approach everything standing on your feet, eye to eye. The mushroom will teach you. It's just like the crystals that we get, the transdimensional crystals, the Yiming Zhu crystal, and then the master crystal, which we are in um, the area of procuring to the family. It People ask me, well, what are the directions? How do I clean it? And all these type of things. How do you clean the hard drive on your computer? You don't do it with soap or water. Take uh, your hard drive out, pour water on it, and sit it in the sun and chant for 3 or 4 hours over it to clean it. So why would a crystal do that? It's a computer. The information is in the crystalline structure of the actual crystal that you have. And it's in there at any point. Many will see our crystals are not completely clear. They have what people call um, cloudiness, or places where there's cracks and maybe some mineral deposits in the middle of it, because those are all points of information. So they ask me, well, what are the directions? How do I use it? I say that in you getting this crystal delivered to you, I told you that we're utilizing these crystals paired with mushrooms. Now you can do it with DMT, but that's a short. You ain't gonna be able to do nothing. You just go flash through the crystals, go flash, open up, show you a bunch of stuff, and then it's gonna close up, and you're gonna come out of the trip. But mushrooms, you have time enough to be able to work with it, and as you work with it on the other side, you will be able to get the teachings of the mushroom, because it is a teacher that conveys knowledge and information. Sometimes it'll speak to you, sometimes it'll show you things, sometimes it'll show you things while speaking to you. It'll give areas of synesthesia where uh, colors from sound and being able to see sound and being able to hear colors, things like this. So the mushroom itself teaches, just like a teacher that would be, like I said, I always equate it to the Sith, the rule of two, where you have the teacher and you have the disciple, and the teacher teaches until the disciple grows and matures. Once the disciple grows and matures, he moves off.
Mm. Do you do you feel like you're a mushroom? How has the mushroom changed the definition of human? And do you feel like a human? What is a human and what is a mushroom? Or are we just all mushrooms?
Uh, well, I mean, the feeling is that under the influence, which is a short time in a week or a month, you no longer human.
Mm,
That the human play that is going on outside of your journey when you are in your higher self is something that is the artificial thing, is the thing that's not real, it's illusion, it's Maya.
mhm,
But the experience on psilocybin is the real who you are.
mm,
So
mm,
human, very little of that is
mhm,
moving towards remaining. But we want to move all people who are sold, all people who are real to the cause of our development into the next level. You know, um, it wouldn't be for just one person to be Kal-El. You got Superman running around, and everybody else is just a regular Jimmy Olsen. Uh, so this is something that is moving towards a singularity, as we talked about in the beginning of it. The singularity is a time when you know that the environment is becoming available as being sentient in your relationship. Energy is being revealed, things like this. And we don't know what the next thing is going to be. We're not able to see over the event horizon, but we know that it's there and coming very shortly. Actually, we're in it, but people start realizing that
mm,
uh, we're in the change.
mm. So what do you see on the ground in Detroit, Michigan? I mean, you're with a lot of, African Americans. I mean, what's the feeling in the young generation? How are they? What's their general mindset? What do you see the trends?
Well, slowly but surely, they're moving towards being able to cognize what this thing is. It's not just a thing that white hippies did in the '60s, and now white clinicians are doing, and other people at Boom Festival and Ozara and things like this, where it's just a big party and people are taking psilocybin along with a plethora of different other things, compounds, LSD, MDMA, some shrooms, a fifth of Hennessy,
Hmm.
some, combo or whatever, all at the same time. Um, they're saying that it is part of our cultural heritage, and we're moving in the new generation to deal with adopting this into our lives as something that's serious and that we want to be able to convey as something positive rather than something negative. We have every other year the Detroit Psychedelic Conference. We're moving into our fourth year in 2020, which will be um, a showcase of psychedelia, and we have all different uh, races and ethnic groups and things like that as speakers. It's heavily more African American because we're dealing with a urban environment, and we're trying to get people from those environments to be able to be uh, not only inclusive but also headlining things. Because when you go to different conferences around the world, you have the usual suspect, the same people that are usually the keynote speakers and things like that. David Nutt, Dennis McKenna, and these people are doing a wonderful job. Dennis is a friend. We've talked on a couple occasions, several occasions, and you have the same people over and over.
Hmm. Yeah, they're
And
like
even
superstars.
yeah, and even when you're in there, I can remember years ago going to Australia to speak at Entheogenesis Australia, and they invited me, uh, brought me down and things like that. But you have a whole lineup of the A team, and I speak at 9 o'clock in the morning Sunday, where the party ended, where the party never ends, but everybody fell out around 8 o'clock in the morning from doof, 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 doof. So at 9 o'clock on Sunday morning, I'm out giving my talk, and there's three people there. Two of them are asleep, and one is just can't go to sleep because they're so buzzed with whatever they've been taking. So it's like that. Then in the evening with the PowerPoint programs and the speakers that you can't get away from and things like that, the A team is lecturing to everyone, and I'm saying the things that I'm saying, and then eventually, you know, I started moving up the rungs of the ladder to according to what festival it is or what conference and things like that. You know, I'm hovering around the C team right now. You know, and I hit A team every once in a while, but you know, I can see people when they're the big conference people when they're trying to bring people in. They're saying, "Okay, who do we got? All right, we got the A team. Okay, we need a black guy. We need a couple of women. We need some indigenous people there to make the lineup look like it's diversified, and you have, that you're being, equalities there. But you can look at the conferences all over the world and see where, basically it's all white and uh, run by old white men. So all of the others are marginalized, and they'll bring some in, and then eventually they'll say, um, "We need well, let's bring Kilindi in because I'm not just the black guy anymore. I'm Kilindi now. Well, let's bring Kilindi in. He's the
Yeah,
black guy."
your name. You bring a network with you. You
People
bring.
don't understand that people come to their conferences to see me many
Yes, I
times.
know.
Of course, they know they come to see other people, but um, on Vimeo, at the Breaking Convention conference, I had more views um, on my talk than any of the other speakers that were there by thousands. And they didn't even know it because when when they put it up, you know, I'm sure they didn't know that mine was the most viewed. And I like the Breaking Convention conference because uh, they've always brought me in and always, you know, been cordial and upfront and righteous with me. You know, also Ozora Festival. You know, in outside of Budapest in Hungary, and many other places around. You know, but the tide is changing slowly but surely, increment by increment. You know, and then I have a uh, knowledge base that I'm conveying that it's a little different than the regular thing, you know, where folks get up and, you know, they're a newly elected PhD and they're reading their PowerPoint program. I've always said if you're gonna read your whole PowerPoint program, you just send the PowerPoint program on a stick and we can look at it and we don't need you. Um, but you know, I weave it through, you know, modern mythology, which is comic books, you know, the different movies that are going on, Marvel, DC, you know, uh, how it is going to Comic Con in New York City and encountering 40 or 50 Klingons, you know, encountering 40 or 50 Jedi, you know, going down Broadway. You know, they pull out their lightsabers and use the Force, and the Klingons are Tuk Su, you know.
Mhm.
So I bring those type of things that are, you know, that are a little different than the usual conference areas where you know you have the I'm going to give you know you my newest research in you know whatever I'm doing.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And I mean, how do we get more minorities and underrepresented groups more in the spotlight? I mean, what is the thing that needs to happen as a collective? What kind of thoughts do we have to shift, and what kind of perceptions do we have to right?
Well, I think by what I did and what the psychedelic community in Detroit did is number one, start having our own conferences and not really worry about if we're not invited to some place because I refuse to be um, the person who's only in there because we want them to shut up and we're going to you know we're going to give them a spotlight. No, I come in on my own knowledge and information that is vital, that is needed, and not because we have to bring in, you know, the black guy. And so I'm there. I'm always in the face of it, meaning that we have to start going to the conferences. Um, you know, be it Chinese, be it Africans, be it whoever, women, gay people, whatever they want to do. If they want to be there so that it's not just a thing that you know. Well, these people don't come to the conference, so we're not gonna. We don't have to worry about bringing them in because they're not coming to the conference. If you walk up in there, um, 70 and 80 strong, they look at it from financial uh, area, and they also look at it that you know we need to bring these people in.
Mm.
But
Right.
first and foremost, we do our own conferences so that if nobody else does anything or brings us any place, then we have our own conference. We'll just sit over here and have fun and trade information and knowledge and have ceremonies and all those things on our own because we don't need anybody else to do things. We don't need anybody else to validate us inside of this community because we are the indigenous people who use these things thousands and thousands of years ago. And
Mhm.
now that we're understanding that, you know, we don't need anybody's permission. It's like Bitcoin. It's permissionless. It's peer to peer. You
Mm.
know, it's a new day, a new time. The old fiat currency is leaving, and cryptocurrencies are coming in. Bitcoin will be the one that you hold on to for your family wealth. The other different coins, you know, you got an ice cream coin where you pay into the ice cream. If you like ice cream, you pay into the ice cream coin and you pay and buy ice cream with that coin.
Mm.
So psychedelics and Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies inside of the blockchain are the same thing. And that's another thing that I've been dealing with. That Bitcoin is psychedelic. It is a permissionless peer-to-peer way to be able to convey value without a third party as a permission to be able to do it. It's permissionless. So the same thing with psychedelics. That's why one of the things that I talk about is growing your own psychedelics.
Hmm.
You know, and that's why mushrooms are good because you can grow mushrooms. You know, you can throw some jars under your bed or in the cabinet or in the basement or in the attic and things like that and have your own psychedelic trips in the comfort of your own home. You don't have to tell nobody. You don't have to ask no permission. You just learn how to do it. You
Right.
can, it's a learning curve, but it's not a big learning curve. If you can bake a cake, you can grow some mushrooms.
Right, right. Yeah, right. It's sort of like taking power into your own hands and taking action instead of waiting for someone else to do something, you know.
Well, it's personal sovereignty.
Mm.
It's
Right.
family sovereignty.
Mm.
You know, my
When you say
children, my
what?
children take mushrooms. You
Okay,
know, some of them
beautiful.
know how to grow. Some of them just, call me, call me, call me to get some. It's a personal sovereignty. It's a personal family sovereignty to be able to grow and have your own psychedelics. I mean, when you really look at the people who are sovereign and powerful on earth, they don't belong to nation states.
Hmm. Right.
They belong to houses. You know,
Hmm.
if Game of Thrones came on Sunday, they didn't say the nation state of the Targaryens. They said House Lannister, House Targaryen. And if you look in the real world, the House of Windsor, the House of um, uh, Rothschild, the House of Fraser. These
Hmm.
are different houses. If you look at Kal-El on Krypton, his name wasn't Superman. His name was Kal-El of the House of El, son of Jor-El
Hmm.
from the House of El. So it's about the house, not the nation state, because nation states will ultimately dissolve into personal sovereignty and into a new paradigm of knowledge and information that is not ever been seen on earth because we're moving out of the human construct of the understanding that we have of what we truly are in the multiverse. So that's really what's going on.
Beautiful. Nice. Great. Yeah, this is a great chat, and I really enjoyed listening to you and your hearing your perspective. And yeah, I really appreciate your time. Do you have anything else you want to say? Any last words for our guests here?
Well, this knowledge and information I'm talking about is mushroom, entheogenic, psychedelic, hallucinogenic knowledge and information. Without mushrooms, I wouldn't be talking about this. I'd be talking about the football game or going to the World Cup. I've been to the World Cup once. It was an experience. But I'd be talking about the football game or what Trump's doing or any of the many distractions that are out here to stop us from getting to where understanding where we are and understanding who we are in this vast, mysterious universe in which we exist that the people who can't see or can't understand try to reduce to something small, something that's not significant. In reality, it's the most significant thing that you could ever think about. So this is mushroom knowledge, you know, and
Beautiful.
that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Great. Yes, really appreciate your time, Kalindi, and we'll definitely stay in touch. And I'm sure we're going to be sharing this all around, and hopefully, people will be hearing more and more of you. And yeah, we love sharing the mushroom knowledge, and we really appreciate your service to the
Well,
mushroom kingdom.
thank you. It's an honor being on your show. Looking forward to meeting you sometime in Amsterdam,
Beautiful.
and we'll get a chance to have lunch or something. Sounds good to me.
Beautiful. Sounds good. Thank you so much, Kalindi. We'll be
Thank
in
you.
touch, okay? Thank you so much.